The following program is brought to you by Arlington Community Media, where we tell your story.
This is ACMi News, recognized nationwide as the first place winner of the 2023 Hometown Media Award for News Access.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
Hello and welcome to a special holiday edition of ACMi News. I'm Jeff Barn. Hope you had a marvelous holiday week. Arlington's town leaders and residents alike are doing everything they can to advance the town's commitment to valuing equity, diversity, and inclusion. All of us wish to have a community where everybody is heard, respected, and protected. After all, diversity and the celebration of it is rooted in building a culture of belonging and understanding. In this week's celebration of how far we've come and how far we have to go, ACMi News takes a look back at stories that highlight diversity and inclusion right here in Arlington and how we have come to respect and learn and celebrate everybody's contribution to our country. All right, let's get started. In nearly all Asian countries, including China, this is the Year of the Rabbit. The holiday, which is also known as Chinese New Year and Spring Festival, is now upon us. It officially kicked off on Sunday, January the 22nd. Arlington staged its Lunar New Year celebration at Town Hall on February the 2nd. ACMi News correspondent Karen Soy says by the massive turnout, it appears Arlington has latched on to a colorful and illuminating way to celebrate this town's marvelous diversity and to learn about a fascinating and ancient culture.
I'm right here at Town Hall Arlington, where the Chinese community here are gathering for the first time to celebrate Chinese Lunar New Year. And this year is the Year of Rabbit. Note that it is different each year because it follows lunar calendar. The colorful sights and sounds of an ancient and storied culture. Before a standing room only crowd of roughly 350 people at Arlington's Town Hall. This is the first Lunar New Year celebration in Arlington. For most Asian nations, this is the Year of the Rabbit, representing the glowing light of the moon in all of its purity.
Well, it means that we recognize and appreciate that there are other cultures that live here in Arlington that need to have their celebrations highlighted.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, an immigrant myself, I just definitely feel the need that all cultures are represented, people who work, live, and visit Arlington. So this is perfect.
The jam-packed auditorium was treated to everything Chinese. Animated performers from this area's Chinese community took to the stage and performed traditional dances and music handed down to them through the centuries. Many of these artists left their home country years ago, and they feel grateful that Arlington gives them the platform to celebrate and to teach.
We're all very glad that the government cares about our community and respects our culture.
This 2-hour celebration comes in wake of several recent tragic events nationwide, putting a white hotlight on bigotry and hatred.
First of all, I just want to say, as the part of the Human Rights Commission, we feel so strongly about these kind of events all the time. In the past, whenever there's been mass shootings, we've been releasing statements to express our solidarity, to express concern, make people in the community feel as though they're not being left alone to deal with it by themselves.
Right, we're not afraid. So it's just a good way for people to get out and just to celebrate each other.
Some of the event organizers are also performers at this inaugural affair, many of whom are from Arlington High School's Asian American Coalition.
I'm filled with gratitude, honestly. It's such a humbling and honoring moment for me to be able to be here to co-organize and present at this kind of event in the town that I was born and raised in.
For ACMi News, I'm Karen Soy.
The Lunar New Year differs each year based on the cycle of the moon. It always falls between January 20th and February 21st, on the Gregorian calendar. In other stories now, you may recall Judy Heumann, a lifelong advocate for disability rights, passed away in March. Ms. Heumann was scheduled to visit Arlington via Zoom on March the 19th in an event sponsored by the Robbins Library to discuss her life and her new book, Being Human. The event still took place. Back then on the Robbins website, Library Director Anna Litton stated, "We will not be able to hear from Judy on March 19th, but we will be coming together to share stories of Judy's impact on the lives and experiences of disabled community members. May her memory be a blessing." Judy's activism was instrumental in creating legislation supporting rights and access for disabled Americans, including the landmark 1990 Americans with Disabilities Act. Arlington residents were invited to share stories of Judy's impact on the lives and experiences of disabled community members. Judy Heumann died on March the 4th in Washington, D.C. She was 75 years old. Later in the month of March, ACMi interviewed an Arlington man who has a very exclusive job. Chris Costello is an artist and illustrator for the U.S. Mint. Recently, 2 of his designs were approved to be featured on the back side of our quarters to honor our women in U.S. history. Chris Costello was the key speaker at an event at the Old Schwa Mill on Saturday, March 18th to discuss his works. Everyone attending found out that Chris, through his amazing talent, brought back to life 2 women in our past who were nearly lost to U.S. history.
I think it's really interesting. The work that I do as a coin designer brings me into amazing spaces as far as research goes. A lot of the women that are honored on these coin series, I've never heard about, and a lot of you haven't heard either.
Discussing our little-known past in a rustic and historic setting, visitors were invited to come to the Old Schwa Mill to hear a talk by Dallin Museum trustee Chris Costello. Costello is an illustrator and artist with the U.S. Mint. 2 of his works are currently featured on the back of U.S. quarters. And in this Women's History Month, guests learn how these quarters honoring the Mexican-American suffragist Nina Otero Warren and Afro-Indigenous aviator Bessie Coleman were developed and produced, and how the legacies of these little-known but remarkable women inspired the direction of his meticulous designs.
In some cases, the histories have been suppressed because of the climate of the time. But it's awesome that we're able to kind of contribute as artists to bring these stories back to life again. And they've got a whole committee's committed to deciding on who should be honored on each coin. And I consider it's an amazing honor just to be selected to participate. And these are the coins that are circulating today.
The relevance to this program today is that Cyrus Dallin was a coin and metal designer. And he was one of those figurative sculptors from the 19th and early 20th century, along the lines of Augustus St. Gaudens and James Earl Fraser, who really elevated coin and metal design to a high art. And we're so lucky because Chris Costello, who is a resident of Arlington and a trustee of the Dallin Museum, in his work for the Mint carries on that tradition of coin and metal design. So that's the connection between the Dallin Museum and Chris's work.
The Mint is proud of the newest circulating coin program, the American Women Quarters Program, which recognizes female trailblazers and their contributions to our nation. From 2022 through 2025, the American Women Quarters Program will celebrate a broad and diverse group of women on the reverse.
The American Women Quarters is a 4-year program of the Mint celebrating the contributions of trailblazing women in the U.S. Beginning in 2022 and continuing through 2025, the U.S. Mint expects to issue up to 5 new reverse designs each year.
I don't want to come across as if I'm an authority on these issues. I think I want to be able to present a discussion that involves us all, because I feel like I'm a learner, I'm a student of history, and the research that's involved in these projects really draws me down paths I've never been before. So it's all a new discovery, and each one of these women has amazing histories that I knew nothing about.
Costello says he's honored to be in a very select group of historic artists whose works have graced our U.S. coins to tell the fascinating story of our nation.
It's just an absolute thrill to be able to see your artwork on a coin that millions of other people around the country and in many cases around the world will be able to see as well. So it's a thrill. It's a unique thrill. I consider myself blessed, and it's a great opportunity.
For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barn.
Chris Costello's talk was co-sponsored by Arlington Cyrus Dallin Art Museum and the Old Schwa Mill. Some of you may know that Arlington has a sister city on the other side of the planet, so we can celebrate our differing and very similar cultures. Often when we do this, we realize that we have so much in common. Well, Arlington and Nagaokakyo, Japan have been sister cities since the relationship was established back in 1984. And in early May, Nagaokakyo students and adults were here visiting as part of their annual exchange. Their tour included many stops, such as museums, a Boston Red Sox game, and our ACMi Studio A, right there.
I think the Japanese students definitely are getting more exposure to other cultures. Japan is a pretty famously homogenous society. For students, I think it's just kind of about opening their eyes and getting them to try and use their English and relax. I mean, Americans, I think, are great people to practice on because we are kind of annoyingly friendly, I think, maybe you could consider. But so it's just about them being more comfortable and trying to use the language that they have in their head, just kind of unlock it.
What do you think of seeing a local TV studio such as Arlington?
Like, this is the first time to come to like a TV things, and like so cool, and like the cameras is so big and cool, and everything is like so cool. I'm just saying cool.
That's okay. I mean, it is pretty cool, so I know your feeling. What cultural differences did you see from America to Japan?
Kind people is so similar to here in Japan. Like there are so great peoples in here too, like in Japan too also, and like I love the people in here and Japan too. So I think that is similar one. And the difference is like after Corona, COVID like getting around, in Japan we usually we have masks all day, but I'm not doing now, but like in America, like most of people is don't doing masks, and I can see their faces, and they're so cute. Yeah, so I like the differences that, I think so.
And for the Arlington students, I think it's really important for them to also just be able to try and express themselves to people maybe who don't understand 100% of what you're saying at any time. It's good practice to sympathize with people who are learning something or people who are in a difficult situation, and I think they're doing a really good job with that. I think a lot of the students, every year we come in, people are very friendly and are very helpful to the students that we have. So this program is a great way to make bonds, but also to kind of help everybody understand what different cultures and different things are like.
In all, 16 students paid a visit to ACMi. For nearly 30 years, Arlington has had this excellent student exchange campaign with the beautiful city of Nagaokakyo, Japan. And now on to a celebration of our women. At Whittemore Park, dozens of women owned businesses made camp in front of the Cyrus Dallin Art Museum on Saturday, May the 6th, just in time for the sunny spring weather. The Boston Women's Market works year-round to make way for founders and artists of all kinds, from woodworkers and candle makers to illustrators. All of these businesses were women-owned and operated.
So today, Boston Women's Market is in the center of Arlington and Whittemore Park, and we're here with over 20 women-founded small businesses, makers, and artists. So Boston Women's Market creates selling opportunities and learning opportunities for women-founded small businesses throughout the New England area. So we pop up with maker markets all around Boston Metro throughout the year in support of them, to help them get new customers, get marketing, and of course sell their goods. So we'll actually be back in Arlington and Whittemore Park on July 22nd from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Just come out and support your local small businesses.
If you missed the market back in May, as you just heard, you're going to get a second chance. The next Boston Women's Market will be coming back to Arlington on July the 22nd from 11 to 4 p.m. at the the same place, Whittemore Park. For more information, just go to the BWM website, bostonwomensmarket.com. Again, that's bostonwomensmarket.com. Speaking of Whittemore Park, that's where you'll find the Cyrus Dallin Art Museum. The museum is still celebrating its newest acquisition at 611 Mass Ave. It's Arlington sculptor Cyrus Dallin's magnificent likeness of the great Chief Washakie of the Shoshone people. The unveiling of this masterpiece took place earlier in the spring with the help of Dallin's only living granddaughter. Heather Lavelle, the curator at the Dallin Art Museum, tells us why this acquisition is so important to Cyrus Dallin's enduring legacy.
My name is Heather Lavelle. I'm the director and curator of the Cyrus Dallin Art Museum, and I am thrilled to share with you today a new acquisition, Cyrus Dallin's Chief Washakie statue. It's a meticulously detailed circa 1944 bronze cast of the famed Eastern Shoshone leader, Chief Washakie, and it was purchased by the museum as a partial gift that was offered from a local collector. And the base of the statue is stamped Gorham Founders, and that's the Rhode Island-based foundry that Cyrus Dallin worked with almost exclusively to produce authorized casts of his statues for sale to collectors and educational institutions. Chief Washakie, as I said, was the famed Eastern Shoshone leader. He lived between around the year 1804 and he died in 1909, so he had a very long life, lived to be about 96 years old. His traditional territory was comprised of areas of present-day Utah, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. He is remembered as a multilingual diplomat and a warrior. He successfully negotiated with the federal government in the Fort Brigadier Treaties of 1863 and 1868 to secure 3 million acres of land in the Wind River Valley of Wyoming for his people. And the Eastern Shoshone and the Northern Arapaho remain on those lands today. And so it was really his policy of negotiation and alignment with encroaching colonizers that assured the well-being and resilience of his people moving forward. Cyrus Dallin was a great admirer of Chief Washakie. He shows Washakie with an upraised arm and his 2 fingers in a signal of peace, reflecting the chief's reputation as a negotiator with the settlers. He also shows Washakie as a warrior. At one point in battle, Washakie had an arrow pierce his right cheek through, it came out his left cheek, and you can see the 2 scars on the right and the left that reflect that incident. In 1922, in a speech in Salt Lake City, Cyrus said, "I would like to set up upon these hills the Washakie that I enshrined in my boyhood memories." Sadly, that never happened. There was a committee was formed in 1916 to acquire the Washakie statue for the Utah State Capitol building, but that project never materialized, and today we only have these smaller bronze casts of the statue.
Good day, my name is John Washakie, and I'm the great-grandson of Chief Washakie.
And we at the Dallin Museum are honored to have received a recording from John Washakie, who is the great-grandson of Chief Washakie, that was made for the museum to celebrate the unveiling of our statue. And he talks about, in the recording, Washakie's legacy and his importance to the Eastern Shoshone people.
I'm very proud to be a great-grandson of Chief Washakie. Thank you.
We have that video available for viewing on our website at dallin.org. We'd like to thank Mr. Washakie and Alejandra Robinson, who is the Public Relations Director and the Archives Manager for the Eastern Shoshone Tribe, for making this recording possible, for helping us educate our visitors on the legacy of this extraordinary person and on the resilience of the Eastern Shoshone people.
So we hope you'll come to the Dallin Museum and see Chief Washakie in person. Thank you so much.
The detail on this newly acquired masterpiece is stunning, and we are lucky to have this museum right in our own backyard. For all information about the Cyrus Dallin Art Museum, just go to their website, dallin.org. Also, the Dallin Museum is sponsoring a sculpture architectural walking tour of Arlington Center. The roughly 90-minute tour includes stops at the Uncle Sam statue, Soldiers and Sailors Monument, and of course, the Menotomy Hunter. And you can learn much more about your hometown, and you don't even have to travel far to do it or pay a lot. In fact, you don't have to pay anything. For details, just go to the Dallin website, dallin.org. Again, that's dallin.org. All right, on to Monday, June 19th, Juneteenth. The town of Arlington celebrated its 2023 Juneteenth observant at the Robbins Memorial Town Hall Gardens on Monday, June 19th. But right before that, a very moving dedication at the historic Old Burying Ground. On Monday morning, June 19th, more than 150 people gathered for the dedication of a new granite monument to commemorate the lives of residents of color in Menotomy. This was the work of Arlington's Historical Society, and this monument serves as an enduring reminder of our nation's historical injustices. This marker helps all of us to inclusively interpret the Old Burying Ground, and above all, to fulfill an essential educational role. That America was forged with a strong feeling of patriotism, defiance, grit, a lot of luck, and tragically, the slave trade.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's a gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in white. God's a gonna trouble the water.
One of the things that surprised me was to have people come up to me who've lived their entire lives in Arlington. People who are senior citizens who said, I had no idea that there were enslaved persons in Arlington. And then you go a little deeper into the history and you find out about their segregation, that they sat in segregated seating in the church, that they were buried in a segregated section. And we think of those things as artifacts of slavery in the United States as it occurred in the southern states. But in fact, the northern slavery was very much an issue, a foundational aspect of the economy through the triangle trade between Africa, the Caribbean, and New England. And although we didn't have, shall we say, the economies of scale of people keeping other people in bondage to work on plantations, nonetheless, people were bought and sold and treated as property until slavery was abolished in 1780 in Massachusetts.
Tragically, we know very little about the slaves who worked from dawn to dusk each and every day in the village of Menotomy so long ago. Authors Benjamin and William Cutter wrote History of the Town of Arlington nearly 150 years ago, which along with other similar writings gives us somewhat of an idea of what colonial-era Menotomy actually looked like. But to date, there have been no written accounts by slaves that have surfaced. And unfortunately, very little was written about slaves by the millwrights, the farmers, coopers, and innkeepers who inhabited the village of Menotomy. As a result, the secrets of those people of color, their thoughts, their ideas, and their lives went to their final resting place in unmarked graves right here at the Old Burying Ground.
We have known for many years that there was a section of the cemetery that was dedicated to burials of enslaved persons here in Arlington, and some freed as well, but people of color were buried in there. We sort of knew where it was. We weren't entirely certain, and it wasn't marked in any way. There was no way to tell. And so recently they did a ground-penetrating radar survey of the cemetery, in part to locate where the trench where the British casualties of April 19, 1775 were buried. And as part of that, we were able to determine where the most likely place for those enslaved people were located, which is over here behind me against the wall. And we thought it was high time that we marked this somehow, made some kind of remembrance so that going forward people can be aware of what happened, where it happened, when it happened, and who is there. That they we don't have names for all of them, or maybe even most of them, but we want to remember them as best we can.
Absolutely. It's really nice to see that we don't have to deny our past history. Our institution of slavery within the town certainly existed. There are many voices of abolition too, and we want to be able to talk about all of that many things are true at the same time. But by talking honestly about the past and the racism that existed in the founding of this town, I think that helps us move forward authentically and with integrity.
Here we had a situation where there was no marker, there wasn't really anything, and it was time to champion the space and to tell the story. So we've been doing it through a number of ways, and it in turn has led to lecture series and articles and other things that will keep it an integral part of the history.
God is gonna trouble. God's gonna trouble the water. There's healing in the water, yeah. The water. Deliverance in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. My God is gonna trouble the water.
To learn more about the Arlington Historical Society, what it has planned for the summer, and of course the upcoming 250th anniversary of our country, which is just around the corner, just go to their website, arlingtonhistorical.org. Again, that's arlingtonhistorical.org. Well, that'll do it for us for this week's special holiday edition of ACMi News. We'll be back next week when everybody gets back from vacation, gets the fog out, and they get back to work. And hey, if you have the time, stop by our studio right here and pay us a visit. We record our newscasts each and every Thursday afternoon. It's a pretty cool thing to see. And it all happens right here at 85 Park Avenue. And you don't have to RSVP. Just show up. We'll leave the light on for you. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jeff Barn. We'll see you back here next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.